Hello, AARST Nation. This is Curt Drew. I'm the owner and founder of National Radon Defense and National Radon Defense Midwest here in Omaha, Nebraska. And I'm delighted to be your speaker today to speak about a subject that's a little bit different than most of the content here at the Radon Convention. I'm going to speak about entrepreneurship and business ownership, and really kind of, the title of this presentation is Getting Out of the Grind. And so my presentation is really hopefully going to help you stop and reflect about the business that you have as a business owner. So this is really directed to the owner of a radon company. And my goal is to help you stop, reflect, and think about, why did you get into business in the first place? What was your goal with the business? And are you accomplishing that goal? And if so, great. Or if you had something a little bit different in mind, maybe I could help you with some concepts and some ideas here. Work your way to achieving that goal of building the business of your dreams. And so I'm excited. We've got some really cool content we'd like to share. And hopefully you get a lot of value from this presentation. We've got two presentations. This one here is going to go for about 25 minutes, and then there's going to be some exercises for you to do for about 5 minutes to 10 minutes. And then we'll have a follow-up presentation, which is another 25-minute to 30-minute presentation in a couple of days, to then hit home on these concepts and give you some practical real-world strategies to make some changes in your business if that's what you're looking to do. This is a hybrid presentation. I'm actually pre-recorded for the symposium, but it's a hybrid. So I'm here as well, just like you, watching this, and I'm available through the chat feature on the app. So if you have questions, comments during the presentation, use the chat feature and I'll interact with you there. And then of course, after the session, the chat feature is going to remain available, and feel free to reach out to me anytime. I'll get a push notification of your comment and I'll get back to you as soon as possible. I'd like to share a story with you that hopefully you can relate to a little bit. So this is back when I started my radon company in 2007, okay? And when I started my radon company, man, I had a vision of, wow, I'm gonna do big things in this industry, So my original vision was to start a franchise network in radon. So I'm like, I gotta build a business here and then systemize it and then go out and conquer the world. And so that was where I started. And I remember specifically one day when I'm driving down a gravel road. It was me. My business at the time was me and one other person. His name was Josh. And we both did sales and we both did installs, but I really wanted him to do more of the installs, me do more of the sales. And Josh tore out his ACL playing soccer one evening the night before we had this big crawl space install. So great. So now not only am I, chief bottle washer and everything else, and now I'm the main installer on this 3 crawl space farmhouse in a small town in Nebraska. So I'll never forget it. So I get to this house, obviously, and I'm doing the work of getting plastic and lining a crawl space. Maybe you've been there. And I've got the headlamp on, I've got my mask on, I even got a Tyvek suit, because there's 3 crawl spaces. One of them I could get into real easy. The other one's really tight. The third one, I don't even know where it is. You got to crawl back and get into a really tight space. The ceiling's like this high, or the gap in the crawl space. And I'm crawling back in there, and I'm doing this work all day. My neck hurts from holding my head up, and man, it was not a fun day, right? And actually it ended up being 2 days, but I was way back into this crawl space number 3. And if you're claustrophobic, man, you'd be freaking out from where I was. And I roll over and I bump into something like big. And I'm like, what is this? Back in here. And I shine my headlamp down on it, and it's a big skeleton. And it's either a dead cat or a dog. I don't know what it is, but it freaked me out. Like, oh my God. And I stopped, and I was like, I remember this vividly, laying there and going, what the hell am I doing here? This isn't what I envisioned when I started my business. This isn't my plan, my grandiose idea. I'm an installer, a radon company, and I'm like 40. And like, where am I going with this? And it made me stop and really take a paradigm shift, a new way to look at things and go, I need to get back to working on my business more and not in it so much, being that installer, and I need to do things differently. And you know what? I did. I went back and started implementing changes and getting back to that vision because I didn't want to be the guy rubbing up to cat skeletons and crawl spaces the rest of my life. So hopefully you can relate a little bit to that story. I don't know if you have the same scenario, but this could be like, maybe you don't like doing sales calls. Maybe you don't like answering the phones. Maybe you don't like doing installs. There's things in your business that you just never had the vision of doing. And so I think we all can relate to that. Even now, me, I mean, certainly there's things that I want to work my way out of. And so that's really the nature of this presentation. I've got some more to share. So there's two types of business structures that I'm going to be talking about quite a bit in this presentation. And I want to define those for you before we get started. One of them is an owner-operator business model, and another one is an entrepreneurial venture business model, okay? So the owner-operator business model, it does most of the work, okay? So the owner is involved in most of the decision making. The owner does like sales, customer interaction, does a lot of the installation work, might have a helper, might not, might be really small, but likes it that way. Okay, and that's an owner-operator model where you got like very limited employees and you kind of handle it all yourself. And then you have on the other side of the spectrum an entrepreneurial venture type business where somebody comes in, an entrepreneur that invests in a company and may do a lot of that work up front, but works themselves out of all of those technical task boxes and builds a business that operates whether they show up or not. And so they filled the role of general manager, they filled the role of sales and production and appointment center and all the different tasks within a business, and now has a business asset, okay? So if you look at it on a spectrum here, an owner-operator is, again, very involved in every decision, and an entrepreneur has a business asset that really kind of operates without them. So there are two different strategies. Let's pro and con those a little bit. Okay, again, this is where the owner is doing most of the work, right? So with this model, I mean, who better than the owner to do the install, to make sure it's done right? Who cares more than the owner? You're able to provide great customer service to the people because the owner's gonna be there on every install. The owner's there on the sales call. The owner's involved in all aspects of the business. You don't have an employee doing the work that shows up late or doesn't show up at all or smells or, you got turnover with employees. You can't trust them. Oh, who wants that? I've had a lot of people tell me, said, hey, Curt, I've tried that before. I've had employees before. It didn't work. They didn't show up. I had turnover. Like customers weren't happy. It didn't work. So I went back to this where I'm in charge and I'm overseeing all aspects of the business and everything goes through me. So, that can be a really good business model for you. And if that's what you've got going on and you like it, hey, more power to you. I'm not here to bash that business model. But let's talk about the cons, when you pro and con that. The cons of that type of model is, well, what happens if you get sick? What happens if you don't want to do it anymore? If your back hurts, all the physical work, you're getting older. What happens when you want to maybe sell it and retire someday? Is that business worth anything? So if you're involved in all aspects of the business, the value of that operation is not as much as a business that obviously has all these staff and systems in place and can operate whether you show up or not. So those are some of the pros and cons, right? The one thing is great customer service and you're all over it and everybody's taken care of and you can provide great and you can make decent money. Your margins are good because you don't have any employee expenses, those types of things, versus the cons of, can you do it forever? Is it worth anything? Is this what you really wanted to do? That's kind of the pros and cons of an owner-operator model, right? So now let's talk about an entrepreneurial model where Now you've got someone, it's more of a manager or a business owner who now has grown the business to delegate to employees. Okay, so now you got those damn employees, right? So, but you've got employees that care. You've built a culture. You've built something that you can be proud of. You have people aligned in the business. You have people doing the sales that love sales and are good at sales, right? You've got people that are doing the installation work that love doing that type of work every day, and they're not, have a vision of something else. That's what they want to do. You have people answering the phone that care about answering the phone, and that's what they want to do. And you can see how you're building out this model where now you've got a operation. You've got an asset here that is worth something, that somebody would be interested in purchasing. And obviously you got to make sure you're profitable with that business model too. So you got to grow the business. So it's just a totally different mindset. It's a different way to operate a business. It's a different vision. And so then you put this on a spectrum, right? You have owner operator over here and entrepreneur over here. And so you can decide, you're the owner of this company. You can decide where you want to be on that spectrum. You can decide, hey, I'd rather just have no employees and be over here and be happy with that. Or I kind of want to work my way all the way to that other business he was talking about, the entrepreneurial business, but maybe in the middle. I don't want to delegate everything. I want to be involved in this or that. So you can decide where you want to be on this spectrum. So I have an exercise for you to do to help you, kind of take a step back and look at your business that you have now and where you want to get your business to, and kind of visualize and think through this a little bit. And we're going to give you a couple minutes to do this. So let me go ahead and just introduce this exercise. So I want you to take a piece of paper, and I want you to draw a dot on one end of the paper on the left side of the paper, okay? And then draw a long line all the way to the other side of the paper and put a dot there, okay? Now on the left side, I want you to write owner operator. And then on the right side, I want you to write entrepreneurial venture. Or you can put EV if you want. For those of you that don't know how to spell entrepreneurial. All right, so, but anyway, EV owner operator. Okay, so now on that spectrum, put an X where you feel you are. So do you have a business that on the left side that you're involved, every customer knows you. You're involved in every install. You are involved in every proposal. You're involved in pretty much every phone call. Maybe you've got an employee or two that's helping you, but you're truly an owner-operator business model. If you have a business, the EV business, where most customers don't even know you. They may know you're the owner if they looked you up on the web or something like that, but you don't know the customers. You have a manager in place, a general manager that interacts with all the employees. So some of the employees might not even know you very well. You don't actually manage them, your general manager does. And then you have all the systems in place that are operating your business. So you're truly outside the business. So that's the far right of the spectrum. So knowing that, put an X where you are today in one color ink, or just make sure you know what that X is. Then look at that spectrum and put an X where you want to be. Let's say where you want to be this time next year, or this time 3 years from now, or this time 10 years from now. Kind of think it through, make it your own here. Visualize where you're at today and where you want to get to. Now I have another exercise I want you to do for the same outcome here. So now go down on that same piece of paper and draw a big circle, okay? Now that big circle is your business and everything that happens within the business. Now draw an X right in the middle of that circle. So the X is an owner-operator model where they're right in the middle of the business. All decisions go through them. They're truly an operation that is owner-operator. And then work your way out of that circle. So draw a line to the end of that circle. And if you want to be, let's say, not right in the middle of it, like maybe an inch towards the circle, and then another inch, and another inch, start working your way, and then put an X outside of that circle. So the X outside of the circle, that's an entrepreneurial venture where they're not in the business. All they do is work on the business. And then now, think about it. Where do you want to be? Do you want to be right in the middle? Great. Do you want to be a little bit outside of the middle? And the outside of the middle of that? Outside the middle of that? Do you want to be completely out of the circle? It's all about what you want from your business. It's not about what's right or what's wrong. Nobody's judging here. Build the business of your dreams. Build it the way you want it. Think about it right now of where you want to get this to using this exercise. So I'm going to give you 2 minutes. Take a piece of paper again and draw out your line, draw out your circle, think it through. Where are you at today? Where do you want to get to? And then we'll be right back here after this 2-minute visualization workshop break. So I hope you enjoyed that couple of minutes to stop and reflect on where you're at in your business now, where you want to get to. Now we're going to do another exercise, and this exercise is going to take about 5 minutes. And what we're going to do is we're going to identify your unique ability, okay? So there's a unique ability. What is that? It's the things that you are really good at and only you can do, and it's special about you. And it's really important as you go to design your business and make changes to your business to know what you want to leverage as far as your talents go. Okay, so this exercise is going to help you do that. And it's called, again, the unique ability exercise. So now what I want you to do is grab a piece of paper and put a line down the middle of that piece of paper, a vertical line and a horizontal line on the sheet of paper. Okay, great. And on those axes, on the vertical line, on the very top of that line, I want you to write the word energy, and I want to put plus signs there, like put 3 plus signs, like high energy on the top of that. And then all the way down on the bottom of that line, I want you to put low energy, like negative signs. This is things that drain your energy. On the horizontal axis, over on the left, I want you to put high value activity that you're good at. So it's good at, high value. And then on the right side, I want you to put low value activity and you're not good at it. Okay? So now you've got your axes all labeled. And again, I'm gonna give you 5 minutes to spend time on this, but I want you to now look at each quadrant. The top left quadrant, what you're going to be doing is listing in that quadrant tasks and activities that you do on a weekly, daily basis that you love doing that you're really good at, okay? And they provide a lot of value to your organization. These are key tasks that you could do every day. You love doing them. They give you energy, and you know when you're doing them, you're creating big value for your company. On the right of that, so the top right quadrant, I want you to write things that also give you energy, like you like doing these things. And they're tasks that you don't mind doing. They actually give you energy, but they're kind of lower value tasks. They're almost like busy work that you like doing. They're things that you can easily delegate, but you don't really want to because you like doing those. And we want to identify them though. We want to know what those are, so maybe someday you can look to delegate those. So that could be like, maybe it's sales calls, or something like that. So on the top right, put those types of tasks. Now let's go down to the bottom of this quadrant chart. Bottom left are tasks that drain your energy. Okay, so you don't like doing these tasks, but you're pretty good at them, okay? And you actually might even be great at them. And so these are the tasks that, but you know what, I don't want to do these forever. And so you list out those tasks down there. Like it could be installs. You don't want to go out and do installs forever. Maybe installs is top right. Everything's different for every person, okay? Then on the bottom right, I want you to list the tasks that you are not good at. They're low value tasks and you hate doing these tasks, okay? List all those things that just drain your energy and you're not good at and shouldn't be doing. Maybe it's answering the phones, dealing with customer complaints. Maybe it's paperwork, QuickBooks, whatever it is. So now, okay, so I've laid it out here. I want you to take some time, some quiet time by yourself, and really think about all the things you do in your business and put those in the quadrants, okay? Because when we come back after break, we're going to try to put some strategies in place for you to maybe delegate some of those things you don't like, and maybe shift your time to spend more time on your unique abilities, right? That's where we're going with this. I want you to know where you're going. So again, take some time, reflect, and you've got 5 minutes here to do this exercise.